Other teams do it, and they're very good at it. And I think there's a place for it, and there's times we're going to do that. But it kind of goes back to making sure we lay the foundation and then adjust accordingly.
Does having a rim protector like Daniel Gafford factor into that? Like when you have, or is there something about the personnel that you think allows you to not have to switch?
Not necessarily. I think it's regardless of what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. If you're doing it with technique, proper technique, you do it with effort. You're physical. I think it bodes well, regardless of what that is. I think for us, in pick and rolls specifically, we want to impact the ball. And you do that, yeah, you're exposing yourself to some degree, but we're making the dominant ball handler in most cases make an earlier decision.
I want to ask you about rebounding. It wasn't a strength of this team a couple of years ago, and then last year was kind of fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, one player who left this offseason is one of the greatest rebounders in the position in NBA history. So what do you think are going to be kind of the keys and priorities to making sure you guys can rebound the ball?
Well, beyond just the mentality, I think it's also, a focus. It's something we have to continue to harp on. It's not just on Daniel Gafford or Montrez or TB when he comes back. It's not just the bigs. It's all five. And they just have to have that mindset of, we're not ball watching. Shot goes up, you turn, you find a body, you hit first. So it's just a mindset as far as a collective unit, and it's not on one person specifically.
Wesley, talk to Spencer a little bit about kind of the versatility in his game. He's capable shooting, capable passer, have good shooting numbers when he's healthy and everything like that. Obviously, he defends. What, I guess, have you seen from his game? Was there anything in particular that makes you like, oh yeah, I'll be able to use that. I can work with that this season.
No, I would agree with all those. I mean, he's a very dynamic offensive player. He's shown in something you probably aren't aware of because you haven't seen him in a while, but very good playmaker. He's a very cerebral player, understands the time, the score, playing 2-for-1 situations. So having him on and off the ball, he can also orchestrate offense for some other people. It's a great weapon to have.
And is he all good to go with everything? I think when we asked him on media day, he said the training staff had to be cautious, but he should be good.
He looked great today, and the whole practice. So I think they're still mindful of where he is in his recovery, but there are very few, if any, limitations.
Did anybody else not go, or was everybody else on board?
No, everybody else was on board.
There's been some talk about Denny Avdia being a secondary playmaker,
Mm-hmm.
and there's been other players that have kind of come through here before that was said, and it seems like it might be a little bit easier said than done sometimes. Mm-hmm. But does your experience in Denver with Nikola Jokic, who was obviously a unique player in that regard, do you think that helps? And then how do you kind of see it working with him?
I mean, it's certainly advantageous if you have guys out there with skill level, and I think we do. That flexibility, diversity we've talked about allows you to move guys around and play different positions. So you're not necessarily locked into spots. It's not this guy has to be in this particular spot. It's just those 4 guys, 5 guys, fill those areas and let's play out of concepts. So now they understand the 2-3-man relationships. It's not a play. They're just reading and reacting as far as what the defense gives them. That makes it that much harder to guard.
And what have been your impressions of Isaiah Todd so far? I know there's a lot of players out there.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen from him?
You know what? He's had good stretches. He's had those rookie stretches like deer in the headlight. And that's to be expected because we're throwing a lot at a guy. The pace of play, the physicality. We're moving him around from position to position. So all those things, aside from just the nerves of your rookie season, it's probably, weighing on him at times. But he's responded well, and he's shown good moments. And then there's teaching moments.
Going back to last night, playing pickup for the first time in camp, it was competitive and there was some high spirit. How would you assess it?
Yeah, no, I definitely think it was. I think, a lot of our styles promote, defensive rotations, flying around, ball moving on the offensive end. I think everybody definitely first day of camp, is going to have that high energy, high intensity. I think the best part was there was a lot of carryover to today. And, we're going to continue to try to build on each day, get 1% better and hope that the energy and the flow stays high.
I asked Montrez about stacking positive days.
Yeah.
Just from your experience through camp, Is that really a key to kind of get off to a good start during the regular season?
Yeah, I think so. When you look at what's going on the first or not first, but the last 3 weeks or so with guys having a collective buy-in, I think coming in a pretty good shape and things like that, it allows you to start stacking those days because, you know, if guys aren't in shape or haven't been doing their due diligence over the summer, then, you know, you get more injuries, you get more, you know, guys taking days off or having to miss different practices, et cetera. Like we haven't really had that, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's pretty much been a full go for the most part. And, you know, it's been great to see.
I wanted to, we're talking about the treatment. Obviously not your first ACL situation.
Yeah.
What was it easier this time around to go through it? Do you feel like you took something different from it, having to go through the whole recovery process again?
Far easier. You know, I've told this story a lot. Like you got to remember, like I was in college and I fully tore my ACL. I tore my lateral meniscus, my medial meniscus, which both required repairs. For people that, you know that type of recovery, it further complicates things because I was on crutches for 7 weeks. So the atrophy in my leg was crazy. I also tore my MCL as well in that same injury. So, you know, I was on crutches for 7 weeks. You know, the atrophy in your leg is crazy. Like it's a completely different process. I mean, when you first come back walking, like you walk like you have a peg leg and it's a not fun experience. This one obviously was a partial ACL tear. It still required obviously the surgery. But I mean, I was walking on the 4th or 5th day. So, you know, there's not much atrophy occurs in that time period. Like you get a little bit, and obviously you have the swelling from the surgery and different things that you deal with, which are just par for the course in any type of operation. But 4 or 5 days versus 7 weeks, just kickstarting your recovery, and then obviously having all the NBA resources. Credit the Brooklyn staff, and you know for starting the process. Then you got Fabrice, Barons, Mike G, Craig out in LA, like carrying the torch on, and then the diligence of the Wizards staff now as the torch has kind of been passed to them, and just all the just resources are just different. You know, I mean, when something happens, like I can contact my PT immediately, and if I'm on the other side of the country, I can fly them out. Like when you're, you know, like when you're in college, you're like, we gonna ice this, or like, you know, what are we gonna do? So it's a completely different process, and that's no shot at obviously any college in Colorado specifically. I love them, but it's just different.
Yeah. You talked to us the other day a lot about how you view your job as obviously partially to make things easier for Brad, to aid him, things like that. What about coming here now that you know the organization a little bit more, gotten to kind of see the style of everybody? What do you feel like about this organization fits you well, and what you want to accomplish in kind of your career aside from we got to get Brad to sign that Supermax thing?
Yeah, and let me preface those comments as well too. I mean, my job in general as a point guard, as a leader, is to make the game easier on all of them. You know, obviously we highlight Brad because he's our best player. Like he scores 30, so how can I help it be better? But that's how I view the point guard position. You know, everybody has their own viewpoint on it. But when I was kind of breaking down the game, like the reason why I said I want to learn first is because that allows me to then make the game easier on them, because people have their own style, right? And I'd rather adapt to them in a lot of ways than them adapt to me, because I'm going to have enough possessions to where like I'm going to be able to get aggressive and get selfish in certain moments. You know what I mean? Everybody's not going to have that opportunity. You know, like it's going to be hard on, you know, maybe the 8th or 9th man to come in and I just be like, yo, just go stand in the corner, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like the more I can promote that confidence in him, I'm still going to get my possessions where I break off a play and go shoot the ball. Like that's going to be part of the game, part of the process. What I take most from the Wizards organization and what I love most is just feeling love. You know, I think everybody in life, regardless of your relationship, whether it's business-wise, romantic, paternal, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like you want to feel loved and valued and respected. I think, especially in terms of male relationships, right? You want to feel respected. And that's been afforded to me here, unlike really any NBA stop that I've had. You know, the last time I probably felt like this was in college. And so I'm excited.
Who made you feel loved?
Brad Shep, you know what I'm saying, to start, and now Coach Unseld as we start to build a rapport. I mean, it's no secret, right? Like my NBA journey's been rocky. You you know, and the Nets were great to me. Like, this is not saying that they weren't, but in terms of being like, hey, like, you're our guy, like, this is going to go as far as Brad and you know what I'm saying, and the other vets take it. Like, that's a completely different conversation. And like, you know, well, we know you're really good. I'm like, thank you. But like, give me a little more juice there.
Okay, last one for me. What's your least favorite part of the kitchen sink that they're throwing at the recovery?
Least favorite part? Today they're telling me after I get out of here with y'all, they want me to try to do a 3-minute fully submerged ice bath. So doesn't sound fun. Yeah, like basically like chin down.
Why?
So,
What do you have to do the upper half?
oh well, it's I think hormonal response or something like that. Let them break down the science and whatnot. So we're gonna roll the dice on that one and see. I'll report back maybe tomorrow or something.
Enjoy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hey Spencer, coach has talked a lot about having a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that he's preached to the team that's really stood out to you so far?
I mean, I think the accountability aspect of things, I think that's really important with a young group. And that effort isn't something that should be coached. You know what I'm saying? Everybody should bring that every single day. That's just part of normal competitiveness. And then obviously, if you already have that effort at a high level, and your intentions are in the right place and you're accountable, then the rest of it's going to fall into place. Like, basketball is an imperfect game. You know, it's a game where the best players maybe shoot 50%, which means they're probably missing over half of their shots. You know what I mean? So like, this is not a situation where you're expected to make every single shot or not turn it over. And so it really comes down to those other little nuanced things, like not having to coach effort, being accountable as a person when you do turn it over, do make a mistake. So he's talked about those things, and I think it bodes well for us, especially being a semi-young group. Well, I see Quentin in the stream. His hand raised.
Let's kick off Zoom questions here, and we'll go to Quentin.
What's happening?
What's happening? Spence, so far in camp, is there one player that is giving you like the most bump or like the most annoyance? Somebody that kind of just grinds your gears, but like brings the best out of you, maybe.
Grinds my gears, but brings the best out of me. Aaron Holiday's actually been on my team for the most part. So not him, but I definitely really respect him as a defender. I've said that before. Pope, I think, is a great defender. Having to guard Brad every now and then is definitely difficult. Kuzma likes to talk, but boy, that man can't guard me. Jesus, it's so dicey. It's so dicey. I try to tell him, like, bro, like, I'm 8 months removed from ACL. It's only gonna get worse. Like, it only gets worse. This right now was your best bet, and it ain't worked out.
That's all I got.
All right, let's go to Yaron.
Hey Spencer, looking at what playing and then seeing Denny in a day and a half, what have you seen from him so far? And I know there's talks of him being more of a playmaker despite being a 6'9" guy. So are you seeing some of that already?
Yeah, in the portions that Denny's participated in, and the things that looks like he can do, looks like he's a high basketball IQ guy. And I'm looking forward to being able to, play with another playmaker. Obviously, we have a lot of guys that have high basketball IQ. You look at the, former Lakers that came over, they're all vets and grizzled, and you got Aaron Holiday, Beal, obviously Denny as well, all make plays. And so it's going to be fun to, not have too much predictability in what we do.
Thanks.
Let's go to Neil.
Hey, Spencer. There's a lot of talk about, being able to guard your man, not necessarily have to rely on help defense is something that kind of plagued the team previously before you got here. I'm curious for you, you pride yourself as a strong defender. What kind of mindset or mentality, and is that something that you just always have, or that you can grow and try and develop to just, okay, I'm going to guard my man and I'm not going to let him get past me?
I mean, I think that's another thing that just kind of comes down to competitiveness, number one, and also being in good condition. We're playing against the best offensive players in the world. Like, people are going to score, right? But it's about making it difficult, making sure that they're taking the shots that, we want them to take, tough, contested, low percentage shots. And if they make this shot, then you got to shake their hand. I mean, obviously, like I said, they're the best players in the world, but I think it really just kind of comes down to competitiveness and being in shape and going out there and giving that effort. And the great part about, like I said, our camp so far is the effort has been high. And I think that's why, we've been doing some of these things at a pretty good clip. Once again, we haven't been in any real games yet, so we haven't tested it against our opponents. But, if we do have that requisite carryover, then, we should have a good chance this season.
And we started to hear a little bit about, the team dinner that you guys had a couple nights ago. To you, did that stick out to you? Was there anything that was like, yes, this is something that, I've seen like winning teams do or good teams do, and this is something that's important for us to get off to a good start?
Definitely. Overall, I mean, team camaraderie is huge. I think some of the things that separate, some of the teams in the league beyond just talent are like, things like confidence and togetherness and stuff like that are really big separators. Was it 2018-19 team that I was on with the Nets that had like Dudley and D'Lo and all that stuff. You saw the bench energy and all that. Like we really were kind of like this like spunky bunch that people didn't expect a lot of, but that energy and that togetherness, like we had a lot of fun playing with each other or playing together as a unit. And I think that is what kind of carried us in a lot of the ways that we were talent deficient. So that's definitely big. And Brad gave a little speech that felt like MLK. So we're ready to go to war.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Spencer.
No problem.
We're going to finish off with Christos.
Hello, Spencer. Hope you're doing well. How good is the fit with the team so far, and what is your expectation chemistry-wise about this season?
I think the fit in terms of just being high character guys, great people, chemistry so far has been great. How we feel on the court, I mean, that's an evolving process, right? The NBA season's 82 games. Like we're going to be tested. Like we're not going to go 82-0. No team ever has. Excuse me. Sorry. So that is something that, seems good right now, but we got to continue to do it and go through the fire. We're going to be tested when we lose a couple games in a row, and how do we bounce back from that? And if we have injuries or we have, a trade or we have, just things that go on during NBA season, like that's when all that stuff is going to be tested. But in terms of just like high quality individuals, high character individuals, like we definitely have that. And I think that gives us a good chance. And then, the 8, 9, 10 guys that, we roll out every night in the rotation, it's on us to prove coach right in terms of him choosing those guys to play.
And also about you, do you feel that you have something to prove this season with the Wizards?
Yes and no. I mean, I want to prove the Wizards right for, betting on me coming off this injury and things like that. I think in terms of what I've done in this league, like it's been pretty special. The last, I would call it 3 seasons of my career. I think I've gained the respect of my peers in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of peace in my heart in terms of the type of basketball player I am and what I can bring to the table. So there's not really much personally that I want to prove. Like I have goals and things, but most of this surround and again, like I know people have asked this before as well. Like there's also no like personal vendetta against Brooklyn. It's not the same as like the Detroit situation where I really wanted to go back and win and prove myself because I still kind of held certain feelings towards that at the time. Like this really is about, like I've said before, like proving the Wizards right, getting to the playoffs as a team, getting Brad to sign the Supermax. Like those are probably my top 3 things on what I want to do, and the rest will kind of fall into place. And if we have team success, I mean, you become just everybody gets paid. You become just a more attractive destination. Like we're in a major city. Like there's no reason we shouldn't be an attractive place for free agents and things like that too. So, team success kind of is the gift that keeps on giving.